Good evening, Mr. Ntunzi. Thank you very much for your time. I was wondering if you could give us some perspective, particularly for parents who I think don't know what to do. On the one hand, last night I had a union leader saying that the reopening of schools was tantamount to genocide. On the other hand, I had the Gauteng MEC saying that they were confident all schools would be ready by Monday for that phased reopening. As an organisation that assesses schools all the time, what is your view?
Well, we're expecting chaos comes the 1st of June. We think that the department continues to ignore, largely and overwhelming concerns from schooling communities, teacher unions, learner organizations, and parents. I mean, we've been seeing these concerns flooding in social media, flooding in terms of letters and meetings. And the department seems to say, no, by hell or high waters, we're continuing. And we think that's bad faith, and we think this is going to cause a disaster.
You say that they're ignoring, and yet we know for a fact that the unions and all stakeholders are being pulled into conversations about how to do this safely. So how can you say that they are ignoring the unions?
Firstly, that's false. I mean, we see that in many joint statements of the unions. But I mean, for me, I was sitting in a meeting now with a conversation with the MEC in Gauteng, Panyaza Lesufi, consulting the learner organizations. Firstly, let me tell you how that went through. He came in late, ran through a presentation quickly, didn't answer questions, didn't allow for other questions, follow-up questions, and then he left. So there is a false sense that the department wants to give out, and the unions have said it, and we've said it many times, that the department is not consulting, is running the whole thing in bad faith. There is an interior motive here to open schools, come hell or high waters.
What is
and
that?
We don't think that's
what is that ulterior motive? They keep saying safety first, safety first. What is the ulterior motive?
But I mean, of course, you can't just say it when people who are primarily deal with schooling every day are saying, but you're not ready. We haven't received the PPEs, we haven't received the water tanks, the teachers have not come. And I mean, the department even now still refuses to account for the time lost. Remember in the initial plan that the teachers were supposed to report to work on the 18th, it was moved on the 25th. Even on the 25th, many teachers didn't respond for work. And they're expecting that the teachers will just be ready with the learners on the 1st of June. We're thinking this doesn't work. I mean, the Limpopo Education MEC came out straight and honest and said, but the department is expecting us to go back to pit entries. Pit toilets and I don't know.
What is the average parent to do here in trying to assess whether they should send their child back to school? Because I think it's going to become a very individual choice. I know that Equal Education has published some guidelines. So just run us through what a parent must do in a situation like this where there's such a disparity in messages.
Well, firstly, we just think the whole plan of the department and guidelines is anti-poor. We know that the people who are going to struggle with going back to schools are learners from poor communities in the townships, in the informal settlement and the rural areas. The ones that come from better schools are going to be ready on the 1st of June. And that even if parents decide to send their learners to school, no learning is going to happen because there's no PPEs that have been set up in those schools. There's no water tanks that have been set up in those schools. And the teachers just are not going to teach. So the whole thing already, even before we start, we saw that some schools and communities in Cape Town have already closed down because of infections, and that the learners won't be learning anyway. And to take from the MEC of Limpopo to say it's unfair, to say other learners must go first and others must stay behind, even if in an instance that all the learners will be required to write the same exam at the end of the day. The whole thing is just anti-poor.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time this evening. That was Zama Mtunzi. He's the head of Gauteng for the NGO Equal Education.